There was once a kingdom ruled by a wise and just king, who inscribed his laws upon a great scroll for all his subjects to read and obey. And the king, knowing he would be away from the city for a time, gathered the people and spoke openly. "I go to set affairs in distant places, and I will return. While I am gone, do not pretend there is no throne. I leave you my scroll, and I appoint faithful stewards, men I have trained and entrusted, to keep watch over the city and to gather in council whenever disputes arise. When strife divides you, bring it before them. Let them discern together, and let their judgment stand, so that my people may not fracture and my law may be applied with one voice until I return." So the king departed, and the stewards kept their post at the gates. When questions rose among the people, they assembled, weighed testimony, searched the scroll, and gave judgments for the peace of the realm. Now in that kingdom lived a man who prided himself on his devotion to the scroll alone. He spoke often in the square, saying, "The king's words are plain and sufficient. I need no stewards and no council. Those who gather to judge only weave human opinions into royal law. Give me the scroll, and I will need no other voice." For a time his words seemed harmless. But then a great contention arose, serious enough that families quarrelled, merchants refused one another, and neighbours would not share bread. So the stewards assembled, as the king had commanded, and called the people to hear a judgment from the scroll, that the city might remain one. But the man refused their counsel. He withdrew to his chamber, read by himself, and returned with a confident face. "See how they complicate what is clear," he cried. "They speak as though the king's spirit guides them, but I cling to the words themselves without addition." And soon he began to measure others by his certainty. "Those who agree are loyal," he said. "Those who hesitate have not truly heard the king. Those who dissent do not love the scroll." Then one of the older stewards answered him, holding out the scroll itself. "You condemn councils," he said, "yet you have overlooked what the king wrote, that while he is away the stewards are to assemble, and their judgment is to stand, lest the realm be torn into factions. You accuse us of adding to the scroll, yet you have added something of your own, that your private sight is the final court, and your agreement is the test of loyalty." But the man's words were pleasing to many, because they sounded like freedom and felt like simplicity. And the crowd began to follow him. They mocked the stewards and said, "Why gather at all? Each man has the scroll. Each man can see." And when the stewards warned them, the people replied, "You only want power." And as the days stretched into months, the city did not merely argue, it fractured. Some left the streets where the stewards still gathered and built their own quarters beyond the walls. Others stayed within, but refused the counsel and followed whichever reader spoke with the greatest certainty. And in every place men said, "We have the scroll. We need no stewards." So each circle became its own court, and each court became its own custom. The king's law remained in their mouths, but its meaning was pulled in 100 directions. What had once been one kingdom became many small kingdoms, each claiming the king's name, and each condemning the others as traitors. And in time, many forgot the king's ways, not all at once, but little by little. They learned the phrases of the scroll, but not the mind of the king. They grew skilled at quoting his words, yet clumsy in obeying them. Only a small number kept to the old paths, heeding the stewards, remembering what the king had commanded when he departed. Then, after much time, the king returned. He entered the streets and found the gates neglected, the watch scattered, and the people divided under rival banners. Some did not recognize him at all. Others recognized him but spoke to him as to an outsider. And when he called them to assemble, the factions came, each certain he would approve them. The man who had taught scroll alone stepped forward and said, "My king, I kept your words. I freed your people from councils and stewards. I taught them not to add." But the king answered, "You did not free them, you scattered them. I left you my scroll, and I left you my stewards. I commanded you to hear them in my absence so that you would remain one. Yet you refused the very judgment my scroll required of you, and you trained others to do the same." Then some of the crowd cried out, "But our reading is purer than yours. We know what you meant better than you do." And the king looked upon them and said, "Behold the end of it. Men who began by rejecting my stewards now set themselves up as judges over me." and the people fell silent, because they understood, when every man becomes his own final court, the kingdom does not become simple, it becomes lawless. And when law becomes private, even the king is put on trial.